This weekend, we got to see the UFC knockout king Derek Lewis extend his KO record, and so that inspired me to go through and talk about the most powerful puncher in every weight class. Keep in mind, this is going to be active fighters, not all time, and we have to start off with heavyweight here. And if you wanted to go with Derek Lewis, I certainly would understand. He doesn't have all those knockouts by chance. But I'm actually going to go with Tom Aspinall. Now, he just hasn't had the same amount of volume of fights to like rack up all those knockouts, but on a per fight basis, I mean, this dude is putting dudes away at a crazy clip. He has 9 fights, 8 wins. 6 of those are by knockout. All of them have come in round 1, all of those knockouts. He averages 4.1 knockdowns per 15 minutes. Keep in mind, the next best active fighter is Sergey Pavlovich at 2.2. Tom Aspinall almost doubles that at 4.1 knockdowns per 15. And 5 of his 6 knockouts have come in a minute 35 or less. So he hits extremely hard. He gets dudes out of there extremely quickly. And he's doing it against like very legit competition, like the Sergey Pavlovich knockout, Curtis Blades. It's not like he's just beaten up on a bunch of bums. Tom Aspinall hits unbelievably hard, and I think he is the hardest hitting heavyweight. Now at light heavyweight, I'm going to go with Alex Pereira. He only has 6 fights in the weight class, but he has 5 wins. 4 of those wins are by knockout. He has knocked out Jamal Hill, Yuri Prochazka, Khalil Roundtree. He was the first man in the UFC to drop both Jamal Hill and Yuri Prochazka, and he's just going out there and just nuking like really highly ranked guys. Jamal Hill, put him out in the first round. Yuri Prochazka, I know the second one was a head kick, but he still hurt him really badly in that first round. You just can't take that left hook, and so I do think he is the hardest hitter in that weight class. Then at middleweight, I was choosing between 2 guys. 2 guys who have actually fought relatively recently, Gregory Rodriguez and Joe Pyfer. RoboCop just went out and nuked Jack Hermanson. Joe Pyfer dropped Kelvin Gastelum twice, who's known for having an amazing chin. Didn't finish him, but no one does by knockout against Kelvin. I gave the edge to RoboCop because they did have that common opponent. Joe Pyfer fought Jack Hermanson and they went to a 5-round decision that he lost. RoboCop fought Hermanson and he just completely put him out cold in the first round. RoboCop has the most knockouts amongst active middleweights with 6. In his 8 wins, 6 of those are by knockout. He dropped Jared Cannonier twice, cheating Njokuani, dropped Julian Marquez 3 times in their fight. He is a massive middleweight, 6'3", with a 75-inch reach, and the dude just hits like a truck, so he will be the middleweight pick. Then at welterweight, I'm going to go with Carlos Prates. Certainly doesn't look like someone who would have crazy power, but he has won all 4 of his UFC wins by knockout. 3 of those were with the hands. He put Trevin Giles out cold in his UFC debut, knocked out Neil Magny. I think the most impressive performance was against Li Jinliang, where he hurt him on multiple occasions, but the Leech had never been knocked out in his MMA career, and Carlos Prates put him out bad, just like completely folded him out cold, went from having never been knocked out to just being completely unconscious because of Carlos Prates. And also, he didn't win the Ian Gary fight, but had him hurt at some point, like later in that one. I think Prates is the hardest hitter. Also, honorable mention to Michael Morales, but he also just has more fights where he's just like kind of gone the distance or gone long in fights against guys that he should be reasonably able to knock out. So Prates is going to be the guy. Then at lightweight, this is the easiest one. It's Ilia Topuria. I don't care if he's only at 2 fights there in the UFC. He had the back-to-back knockouts against Volk and Max Holloway at 145. He moves up. He just completely obliterates Charles Oliveira. We've seen Oliveira get finished. We've never seen him get finished like that. And then also you have the Jai Herbert fight, which obviously lower level of comp compared to, like Charles Oliveira. But I mean, just a vicious knockout win in a fight that, he got dropped in the first one, came back and just completely annihilated Jai Herbert. I'd say pound for pound, Ilia Topuria is probably the hardest hitter in the UFC. Then at featherweight, I was choosing between Josh Emmett and Jeremy Stephens. Also an honorable mention to Steve Garcia. Jeremy Stephens does lead all active fighters with 18 knockdowns, but he's getting those knockdowns in a variety of different ways. That's including like head kicks, knees. He landed 5 knockdowns from leg kicks against Gilbert Melendez. Josh Emmett ended up being the pick. I mean, he just has some vicious knockouts, and he's pretty much only getting it done with his hands, like very boxing heavy style. He completely shut the lights off of Bryce Mitchell, Michael Johnson, Ricardo Lamas. He has 12 knockdowns in 15 UFC fights. also dropped Dan Ige, had 2 knockdowns against Shane Burgos, who's very durable, and I think Emmett had a blown out knee in that fight and still was able to hurt him a couple of times. Had 4 knockdowns in a fight against Felipe Arentes. Not sure if I'm saying that properly, but 4 knockdowns against anyone in the UFC is very impressive. We did see Jeremy Stephens knock out Josh Emmett when they fought, and I think he had a bunch of facial fractures, but a lot of that was on like the elbows and all the follow-up. I do think Josh Emmett is the harder hitter, although Jeremy Stephens still hits very, very hard. Then at bantamweight, this might be controversial. I went with Montel Jackson. He leads all active bantamweights with 11 knockdowns. He's done that in only 11 fights. He is first in knockdowns per 15 minutes. He's landed a knockdown in 7 of his last 8 fights. And I think the criticism would be like the strength of schedule, right? He's not consistently fighting the best guys in the world, maybe not the best chins. He KO'd Damone Blackshear in 18 seconds. That's Damone Blackshear's only loss by knockout. And Montel Jackson just completely nuked him 20 seconds into that fight. He is huge for bantamweight, 5'10", with a 72-inch reach. I think some of the other contenders, more proven guys, would be like a Sean O'Malley or a Davison Figueiredo. Figgy is the only man to ever drop Chito Vera. He does just have like a smaller sample size at 135. And then O'Malley does hit very hard. He obviously has the Aljamain Sterling knockout. But I think the criticism you could give Montel Jackson, like O'Malley also had some pretty soft matchups early on in his UFC career where he could kind of just style on these dudes. And what kind of ended up being the deciding factor is I just thought about all the shots that Sean O'Malley landed on Chito Vera. And I'm like, if Montel Jackson was in there landing the exact same shots, do I think there would be more damage done? And the answer was yes. So I ended up siding with Montel Jackson. And then the final weight class here, flyweight, I went with Kai Kara-France. I do think his power gets a little bit overrated, but he is still a very hard hitter. 8 UFC knockdowns, very impressive for 125, especially for a guy who's probably like one of the smaller 125ers out there. He knocked out Steve Erceg, Cody Garbrandt. He's dropped Brandon Royval, Rogerio Bontorim. So he's getting it done against, very legit competition. So Kai Kara-France, I do think, is the correct pick. And that is going to wrap it up for this video. If you agree with my picks, let me hear it. If you disagree, let me know which ones and who you would replace them with. But thank you all for stopping by, and I will see you in the next one.